My name is Brody. I'm from the Apex Coaching Academy, and I was fortunate enough to have Blake and Declan have me on the podcast. What we actually spoke about was some of the most common pitfalls that high-functioning individuals go through as they're trying to integrate their health and fitness into their career. Big love. We'll see you next.
Welcome back to another episode of Confessions. Today we're joined by a good friend of mine, Coach Brody Casa from Apex Coaching. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Dude, thank you very much for having me, guys. Absolutely pumped.
And mate, we've been talking about this episode for a while and doing it and getting together. Obviously, we've done a bit of, you've coached me, got me back into shape after the recruitment lords have got us out of shape. So it was pretty good to be one of your coachees and go through your programs and what it means to get health and balance back in your life.
What do you do?
Dude, this is the $1 million question, right? Because it's just continually evolved. I guess the longer that we've done what we do. So I'm a coach, right? I've been a coach for 15 years, and what I call that, dude, is in the health space. I know more than I guess the average person, and I figured out pretty early on in my life that when I didn't really know what I was doing, working on my health was the only thing that made sense, and it was the thing that gave me the most direction. And so what we do now for men around Australia, and we've actually started to segue into internationally, which is really cool. We help high-functioning men build routines and structures in their life so that they can operate at the highest level, physically, mentally, and for everything that they truly care about. And so what that really looks like is, if you consider you guys, right, and I actually use this example when I'm talking to guys, if you consider you guys, right, if the biggest goal that you have is to have self-mastery, right? Improvement, continually push the limits on what you think is possible for yourself and your life. As amazing and wonderful as that is, right? There is one vehicle that takes you through that entire journey, right? And that is your body. You get one vessel to create a family with. You get one vessel to start a business with. You get one vessel to learn how to problem solve, to be creative, to do everything in life. You get one opportunity to do it. And once that vessel is damaged, when it's not looked after, when it's not serviced, you know, when you don't care about it as much, when you're just focused on all the external things, at some point, definitely something is going to happen. Something is going to impact the trajectory that you had towards self-mastery, towards your professional development, towards the growth of your business and the love that you have for your family. Something will happen because we have a finite life. And more often than not, especially ambitious dudes, is we believe that if I just work and grind and push, everything will work out eventually. And that stoic kind of philosophy that most of us kind of go for, I think that there's a caveat to it where you have to be able to make the journey. And as a very long-winded answer, that is what we do. We help you put the pieces in place in your life so that you can continue the trajectory that you most care about. And that is going to create the most impact in your world. But in theory, that sounds great, right? I'll just look after my body. But how the fuck are you going to do that? You work 80 hours a week already. You have 3 kids at home. You barely see your wife, right? The last time that you hung out with a buddy and spoke about feelings and what, you know, everything else that's going on is few and far between. You're traveling a lot. You don't eat well. You don't have any routine. How are you planning on structuring a part of your life to now begin looking after yourself when you still have to do all of that? There's the gap.
Mate, you articulate yourself really well. I love it. It's really clear and concise. That's what I love about talking to you. So I find I can speak to myself here. You know, I would classify myself as, you know, a hard worker. And I still today always find myself tweaking, adjusting, trying to find out the routine that works for me. Like I used to go to gym in the mornings. That used to be my thing for years. Then I'd have to figure out, like, do I eat straight after gym and then I'm getting hungry at 11, then I'm getting distracted and I'm feeling like food through prime time work hours? Should I be eating a bigger meal in the morning or should I wait till lunchtime? And I go through this like crazy forever tweaking, forever adjusting journey to figure out like what the perfect routine or structure or diet or gym or like, you know, just life roadmap is there ever a point where you kind of find that and you're like, this is it? Or is it something that you have to be flexible with and adjust with over time?
Dude, that's an epic question, and it's both, right? It evolves. So the first question you asked when I came on the podcast is, what does I do? And I couldn't, what do I do? And I couldn't give you a straight answer because it's continually evolving. It depends on what stage of life you're at, right? Do you remember when we were kids, right? Like I've known you guys since I was 18, 19, 20. When we were brussing at music festivals with our shirts, you knew this was going to come up, dude, hard out. Eating pingers every single day. Like we were just going absolutely ham. And in that time in our lives, I think I worked 6 till 2 every day and finished early on Fridays, spent all my money every single week. And so the perfect routine for me then was totally different to the perfect routine for me now. Depending on the goals that I have, the context of my life, what I value. And the hardest part, when you were kind of talking about that, Blake, where you're forever adjusting, forever tweaking, every single time any person has to tweak, or is that a leaf blower?
Someone
Big Rich, the building manager, every
Yes.
Wednesday at
I don't know,
9:30.
Serge, you can tell him to just go cut that out. But
No, dude, that's I wasn't sure. I was like, am I breathing really loud? Forever tweaking, forever adjusting, right? Every single time you have to do that, that requires bandwidth, right? You're taking your focus away from something else. That could be time with the kids. That could be another task at work. That could be a project you're working on, sitting down one-on-one with your team. Every single time you have to try and come up with a strategy that you don't have certainty on, you're spending valuable bandwidth trying to figure that out. And what people actually pay us to do is to do that for you, because you still continue your life. Our job is to go in and analyze everything about you so that we can help you establish the perfect routine at that moment in time. But it continually evolves, because as a new baby comes along, you move cities, you upgrade to a bigger house, your team goes from 2 to 10, your life is going to change again. So training in the morning at 4 a.m. might work for 2, 3, 4 years. But then what happens when you have a screaming kid all night on your firstborn? Training at 4 a.m. may not be feasible anymore. And so what most men do is the moment there's a disruption,
They just stop everything.
stop everything. Right? It's genuinely, we don't even realize we're doing it. And then when I ask a bloke, what happened? They go, just got fucking busy, dude. But it's the same story. Every single bloke that I've ever spoken to, myself included, you guys, Serge, it's the same. We have the intention, but the moment life throws a curveball, something evolves, a distraction that was unforeseen comes in, where we have cause to react. And the first thing that goes when we have to react and manage things is us, right? Your routine. I'll skip that workout, babe. Don't worry. I'll look after the baby. We're going to start. We got to move house, right? I'm going to spend all of my waking hours after work. I'm going to find the place of us for us to live. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to go to Pilates tonight. It's fine. Those kind of things seem like nothing, but then a week goes by, and then a month, and then before you know it, 3 years has gone by, and your toddler that you were looking after all night is now 3 years old, and you are now overweight, unhappy, low energy, and you don't even recognize yourself anymore because you don't know where it went wrong. And then you blame yourself. You're frustrated with yourself. Every achievement that you had in those 3 years, growing a family, maintaining your business, focusing on your career, all those things, they were bringing you fulfillment to a degree. But in the process, you let the one thing that allowed you to do all of those things in the first place, the one thing, you let that go. You. And that is the story that every single bloke has ever spoken to me ever since I got in business, was I had to, and they don't realize it, they always had a choice, but they dropped everything to focus on everybody else. And that's genuinely, normally, not everybody, but that's what most men wear that hat in their life, is I'll put my needs to the side so that I can focus on my life, focus on my family, and focus on the growth.
So what about single guys? Not as complicated, not as difficult?
They're actually the funniest ones, man, because it's the inner saboteur, right? The kind of fancy word for just like the dude that doesn't believe in himself. And what we actually find is the single guys are the ones who lack the most self-belief because they don't have as much support. Some guys are very driven, very You look at like your Andrew Tates and they're like, I just want to be that kind of bro university and just do that. And that's great for some guys if your personality's there. But what we find, and the number one question I ask when we're doing enrollments for any guy that possibly wants to work with us, is we dive really deep into the why. And it sounds cliche, but it's real, right? And the most important thing is the reason you're doing it. Because for a single guy, I know when I was single, and you guys were all single, and we were brussing, all I cared about was impressing you guys. Genuinely, right? Getting a look from a girl. I cared more about what my mates thought of me in terms of how good I looked than any single girl that I was trying to sleep with, right? It was just out of vanity and ego. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's also not a big enough why for you to truly transform the way that you live. It's just not big enough. I don't want to look good for Declan and Blake. The moment that wears off pretty soon. A single guy doesn't normally, and not every time, but normally have a large enough why. Some guys have a big chip on their shoulder, right? Some guys have been burnt. But they've been let down by loved ones or family or friends. And so they do have an innate drive. But that why is what keeps you in the game. The guys that we see have marriages and families. A lot of our guys have businesses. I would say 80 to 90% of the guys that we have are very career focused or business operators. And I would say probably around about 80 to 90% of those guys have families and those kinds of things as well. The reason for them wanting to improve their life and their lifestyle is for their family. That's a big enough why. Like for you guys, right? If you look at your family and one of you got sick, right? One of you two got sick. If you sat in that moment, like really sit in that moment, right? Something really poor happened to you, right? Call it the big C, cancer, right? Or something catastrophic, something life-altering. The moment that happened, everything in this room that we're sitting in right now would fade away. You wouldn't think of this. You wouldn't. You would think of your wives. You would think of your kids. And the reason we ask why you're doing this, why you want to improve the lifestyle that you live, is because if we can get you to get there, exactly where all three of us just went then, like, holy shit, if I got cancer and I had to, what would that mean for Tash? If I can bring that gravity, that leverage into the now and help you realize that if you don't do something, right, then it's never going to be what you wanted it to be in the first place, right? It's the why is the reason that you stay in the game. Because like you guys know in business, it's not every day is beautiful. It's not. Something has to keep you in it.
I went through, when Kat was pregnant with Elsie, I was 27, 26, maybe 26, 27. We just started Ex-Recruiter. Like we're in the process of like working out Ex-Recruiter. I was running Bandito. And as a single guy with probably not a huge why, as you've kind of correctly pointed out, more as a single guy, maybe you're more, you've got vanity kind of metrics that you're judging yourself on, not anything too deeply. My first impression of, rightly or wrongly here, of Kat getting pregnant was, wow, this is going to fully distract me from my goals. This is going to really, be a wet blanket to my success. And I'm not going to be able to be as ambitious and hardworking and creative because I'm going to have, I'm probably throwing a bit of shade on this, but like a bit of
other considerations. You have other things to consider now that were not there before. They are distractions. Whatever verbiage you use, it is. Yeah. It's something else that's been added to the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time, without having the wisdom I do now, it felt like a disadvantage. But now, after having kids and seeing your kids and having a family, no better advantage do you have in life when you've got
having kids
that you need to support and look after.
Because you won't. Man. Guess what? You're never sleeping in ever again, right? You're taking that extra call. You're doing that extra thing because the why just got so much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. It's like the dad energy. and the family energy that you have, like your ambition is on steroids now. And so it was really interesting. Like when I speak to like recruiters, and there might be young guys and they're like, oh no, I'm not going to have kids for ages. I just want to be career focused. And I'm like, you'd be surprised, mate. You have kids and you're going to be probably more career focused than you've ever been before, because you have kids. It's actually not a distraction. It's actually an amplification of your success and where you want to go in life. So it's interesting that most of your clients are, family men with kids. They've kind of, they want to be their best selves. They've got a big why, and that's ultimately who engage and who actually take action to your services. Because I know firsthand that having that makes you want to level up and makes you want to do something better, which is why obviously you're around and you do such a good job.
Well, dude, and it's certainly not for everybody at all, right? Like Declan's been through the program. It's certainly not, dude, because it's another thing that men struggle to adopt. And I'll kind of give context, right? So when a guy goes down the path of self-improvement, right? And let's just talk about the physical self, right? Eating well, training. That's, kind of the bread and butter of what we do. When they go down that path, right, they make the decision that I'm fed up with the way I look. I don't like how my life is at the moment. I'm not happy, whatever the reason is. And so that is a catalyst for some kind of change. And so the moment that catalyst happens, right, the direction shifts. And now they're going to go down this path. But what they didn't realize when that catalyst shifted is they never had any answer or any full understanding of what that decision actually meant. Because,
yeah, I like this.
Right? Because you think about it, right? Call a 30-year-old bloke. For 20 years of his development, from the age of 10 to 30, he's developed habits, beliefs, systems, all these things in his life. On his 30th birthday, he goes, I'm going to go get fit. I'm sick of being overweight. I'm sick of being the fat guy, and I didn't like the photos that I had on my 30th birthday. He takes that shift.
I reckon there's going to be a few people listening to this going, shit, that's me.
That's literally. And I'm talking because it's me.
Well, you see,
It is me. This is exactly who I was and am, right? Certainly. Is I decided that I wanted different. But I had no idea what that truly meant. I just decided in the moment that I wanted different. And so then the moment I decided, I had this sense of liberation, right? I had this sense of liberation. Holy shit, I made a decision to change. Go me. Fuck yes, right? I'm tough. I'm doing things. And then I realized I have no idea what I'm doing. This is not easy. There's so many knowledge gaps. I'm not motivated to do this anymore. Something was a bit difficult that I thought was going to be easier than it was, and now I suddenly want to slow down. And now
same with business.
Exactly the same with I'm talking about guys with fitness. This is business. This is why I think genuinely fitness and business are the most closely correlated disciplines, modalities, right? Whatever we call them. They're the most closely related in the world because of a bunch of different factors. Delayed gratification, patience, self-belief, right? Progressively overloading yourself, seeing what you're made of, right? Early mornings, late nights, right? Being sore.
No finish line.
Yeah.
You don't finish.
Yeah.
You don't win fitness. You stay fit. You don't win business. You stay in business.
Yeah.
Right? They're the most closely correlated things ever. But coming back to that, right? Same business, fitness, right? The guy makes the decision. He starts to do it a little bit, couple of weeks in, and then it's not really happening for him. It's not as good as what he thought. He's sore all the time. He's not getting the looks from girls. He's not getting the compliments from his boys. He cheated on his diet, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, this is the difference. All of a sudden, a thought just entered his mind. I can't do this. I'm a failure. I'm only 3 weeks in and I can't even do this thing. And you do that feeling of I'm not good enough to complete this is a feeling every single one of us has felt and continually feels. But when you do it in something that's like fitness and something that everybody has access to, yes, everybody has access to business, but it's a kind of a leap and bound. It's like this kind of thing that, it'd be cool to start a business. But getting in shape is a lower hanging fruit, right? I'm just going to tie you because you have a choice. You have direct ownership over that. What goes in your mouth and where you spend your time. Same with business, slightly indirect. But when you fail at fitness, and this is not me, this is what men have told me time and time again. When you fail at fitness and you fail enough over and over again, enough of those failures creates a limit and a belief system within you that you can't do hard shit anymore, right? And that, you take that home to, if you have a wife, you're not taking that home to your wife. You're taking that into your workplace as the single 30-year-old dude. You're not showing up for you guys. If I work for you and I'm 30 and I've failed at fitness that many times, I can't seem to do it. I'm coming into this office, I'm not applying myself. I can't do shit, right? I'm a failure. I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. All of these things. And the problem is, this is the problem, and I hope this really hits home, is it was never your fault that you failed, right? Because when you made the choice to change, you didn't fully comprehend what that change meant, right? We make knee-jerk reactions all through our lives, myself included. I dead set am the most impatient motherfucker that you'll ever meet, and I'll just go do shit. But I don't really understand what I'm doing. Now, as slightly a little bit more older, I think a little bit more mature, is I'm a little bit more calculated about those decisions. Because if I'm going to make one, I want to make sure that I have the understanding of what that's going to require. Because if you make a decision and then you don't follow through on it, you become incongruent. And that is enough to fully fuck a man's life. Right? And I mean that. It's big because it happens. You genuinely stop believing all parts of your life will work out because you can't seem to do this thing. But you set yourself up for failure in the beginning.
So you've seen this happen to people before, going off
daily.
And so what do you...
How do you get them back on track?
How do you get them back into where they need to be?
Oh, now we're getting into it, bro. All right, so...
Brody's tough conversation.
Yeah.
The first is it, yeah, are we going down a path that we want to go to?
Yeah, sure.
We're right to do
Yeah,
confessions of a recruiter, right?
Yeah.
But it is, I think...
Confessions of Brody.
Right, men or women, it doesn't matter. We all have a belief system within ourselves that if you don't win enough, you stop feeling like you deserve to win. Right, really, call it simply. If you haven't felt like you've won enough, and we need to feel that. People need to feel useful. I read this book, and I listened to the audio book back because Arnold Schwarzenegger narrates it. It's his book. It's called Useful. Useful? I need to check that.
That's his thing. He says
Yeah.
always be useful.
Be useful, right? Because if you don't feel useful, you don't feel anything. Nothing matters anymore, right? That is one of the biggest innate drivers as human beings is you want to feel useful in society, in life, in your work, in your marriage, in your kids' life, in your friendship circle. You want to feel useful, right? And if you don't win enough, you stop feeling useful. You stop feeling like you matter. And you stop feeling important. And your question was, how do you help guys kind of get around this? Well, the way that you do it is, one, you remove the blame from them, right? Yes, the problem is your problem, right? But the way that you dealt with it was the way that you thought was the best. We were literally talking about this. The way that you thought to deal with it was what you thought was the best decision given the context at that time. But with our men and what like our philosophy is setting you up to put you in, and here's the keywords, put you in the best position possible to succeed. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have the perfect formula. It doesn't guarantee success, right? You put yourself in the best position possible to achieve that success. And so what we do is literally this is why I built the business. And I didn't realize I was building this at the time. I really had no idea. But there were three main components that helped men realize that it wasn't because you weren't good enough. It was because you didn't have the tools to better the chances of your success. And so that you were starting at a disadvantage, right? A self-proclaimed, self-induced disadvantage. Right?
Is that naivety?
It's naivety of you think it's going to be easier than it is. Same as business.
Yep.
I'll just build it and they'll come.
Yeah.
How fucking easy is business?
Yeah.
Right? I made my first $1 online. I'm an entrepreneur. Dude, it's not, this isn't making fun of anyone. This is real. I feel this every day.
We see the same thing, like you have instant success and then you're a shooting star and then you're like, oh shit.
Now I've got to maintain this.
Yeah. Or like you fall off the basics. What got you there? You're like, now it's easy. The same thing goes into fitness. You're like, oh, well, my weight actually stayed the same or still went down and I actually ate more calories than what I did last week. So I'll just eat a little bit more. And and then all of a sudden you're so far off the garden path.
Yeah, and you never realize where it went wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the exact thing. So what we do for our guys, and I think that this is directly relatable in any area of life. Number one, you need a plan, right? You need a plan that actually makes sense. And what I mean by makes sense is every single person is different. Every business is different. Every body is different. Every bloke we coach has a completely different life, right? So a one-size-fits-all approach, cookie-cutter shit that everybody has and tries and follows is never going to work. It really isn't, right? Like your F45, like in talking fitness, right? Just following group fitness, going and get a generic program from and I respect the dude, hell, Adam Sullivan from EBT, like it's all templated, right? Because you have to mass produce it to be able to appease to that many people. What we do is one-to-one, intimate, very personal coaching, so that we actually have the resources to do that, because your plan has to encompass who you are, what it is that matters to you, what time constraints you have, what resources you have available to you, why the fuck you're doing it, right? It's everything that makes you you, so that you can actually succeed with it.
It sounds like your coaching is a small element is fitness, but the majority of it is psychology.
Yeah.
This is the evolution of it. It was always macros and training.
Yeah.
That's all I did my whole life, right? Was
Yeah.
just try and be a bodybuilder and do that kind of stuff. But the longer we've been in business, we're now coming up 4 years, which is awesome. It is, dude. It's realizing now what genuinely makes men tick. And this is why I'm so captivated by what we do now. If I still, and our team still just did training and macros like most PTs, and everyone's got to start somewhere, but I've been a PT since I was 17. I'm 33 next year, right? It evolved, because it's the mindset around everything. It's exactly what I've spoken to both of you guys about multiple times. Business is not skills, it's mind, right? It is. Because the most well-equipped business owner will not be able to beat the person who has the strongest mind. They just won't. And it's the exact same with this. So the plan is the first part. It has to make sense to you. It has to actually deliver the goal, right? Or put you in the best position possible to achieve that goal. And you have to enjoy it. Key. Because if you fucking hate it, right? Think about every 12-week challenge you've ever done, right? You hated it. You did it because you knew in 12 weeks it was going to end, and you knew that there was an outcome for you to get. But the moment it was over, you couldn't fucking wait to go to that buffet. And then you couldn't wait to make up for every lost time that you had in that 12 weeks. And you can't wait to just hedonistically deviate from every single thing that you did, because you couldn't stand it. Because you were focused on the outcome, not the progression of the journey. And so with our plans and the approach that we try and take is, if you can enjoy it and actually look forward to it, you will stick to it for the rest of your life. And that's not in a confined box. You'll just stick to a plan. You'll believe that a plan is actually feasible. You'll believe that a plan is the true north for you.
So do you, pull me up here if I'm misunderstanding this. So it's less on the outcome and more on the journey?
Absolutely. Right? Because a guy might come to us and go, dude, I want to lose 10 kilos for my wedding. Okay, great. Then the next question I ask is, so what happens after the wedding? Oh, what do you mean? Okay, so we get you 10 kilos off for the wedding, and then what? Oh, we'll go on the honeymoon, and I guess we'll just go back to work and do that. Okay, cool. So this is the finite mindset that we have. This is where, and this isn't because we're great. I continually catch myself thinking the same. But it is. We focus on the destination, not the progression, not the journey, in everything, right? It's lose the 10 kilos for my wedding, and then I'll just go back to being the way I was. Whereas the way that we try and position it is the wedding, right? That is the first milestone. That is the first milestone. So what are you doing after that? When you lose that first 10 kilos and you go from 100 kilo or 120 kilos down to 110, right? Then what? Right? What would really mean the most to you? Like, if you could have it, what would it be? And so we get you excited about what the journey could look like without giving you direct parameters of how it's going to operate. If you can believe in the journey of what it is that you're doing, you'll start to believe that every single day is inching you closer to it, even though you don't know when the fucking thing's going to end. I put a photo on my Instagram story yesterday of me in the sauna. I had a terrible, terrible day on Sunday. It was just hard. Everything was hard. Some emotional stuff was happening. Some personal stuff was happening. Business took a bit of a hit. It was just a few things just all rolled into one and just hit me on one day. And I sat there in the sauna on Monday morning at 5 a.m. and I fucking hated being there. And I said, I posted it. It was just a photo and my legs were looking good. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's get my legs.
I was about to say, mate, your calves are looking at me.
Oh, thank you so much, dude.
They're
Thank you so much.
They're moving. Mate,
My
got a photo of these calves, mate. I feel like I'm getting a stare down.
My pants are riding up. But the whole idea was, dude, and literally the only thing I posted was didn't want to be here, but I'm one day closer. I have no idea what I'm one day closer towards. But I don't really care anymore because I've just fallen in love with the process of doing this. But that was the hardest part. That was the hardest part. And so you asked me 4 or 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago maybe, I don't know how long we've been talking, that what is it, how do we get guys over that hurdle? How do we get them to kind of change that belief system? The first part is to help them fall in love with the process. But that requires them to do the thing. You can't talk about the process because you have 30 years of beliefs. So I'm going to tell you a story. Oh, you should probably think about this perspective. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for that. But how are you going to embody it?
Yeah, I feel like there's an identity step in there as well.
I'm just thinking recruitment here for a second. And if you can get a recruiter to adopt a similar mindset, like most recruiters are like, I want to bill $1 million. And it's outcome driven. And then, oh, well, when you bill $1 million, then what?
Then what? The goalpost moves.
Yeah.
In a millisecond. Have you ever noticed that? Right? I'll bill $1 million, right? And I know recruiters that have billed $1 million. I know them personally. Tash knows them personally as well, right? Like you go, how was it? Oh, dude, I didn't remember when I did it. But in that moment, before you'd build $1 million, it was the be all and end all.
Yep.
I'm going to lose the 10 kilos for my wedding. I'm going to bill $1 million. I'm going to hire my first staff member, whatever the fucking thing was, right? And then immediately you do it, and then it moves again.
It's like when Mark Boris sold his company for $500 million and he was like working so hard, sold it to Gary Packer, and he sat in an apartment building in New York on his own with a bit of paper. He's like, is this it?
Yeah.
And then you're like, that's this big monumental moment his whole life. And then you got to find the next thing.
Well, so I was listening to a book around success and how to measure success. And I think I was talking to you about this, Deck. And basically, to summarize it all, success is like the horizon. The more you chase it, the further it gets away, and the more it moves away from you. And your measurement of success will always evolve and grow, and you'll never actually reach what your ideals are because your ideals today won't be the same ideals as a year from now. And it's interesting that you're trying to get them away from almost like a destination, an outcome, which naturally, instinctively, I feel like everyone needs to have an outcome, a destination. Like, what are you trying to achieve? But if we kind of flip that on its head and go, well, let's focus on the process, and then that outcome might be that outcome can infinitely grow with your measurement of success rather than just being the target and then you lose it because you've achieved it, and then you've got to like reconfigure your life on what's meaningful to you.
You guys have both heard the same quote from Alex Hormozy, right? You've already achieved goals that you said would make you happy.
Yeah.
That is
right?
deep.
That fucking hit me harder than most things that I've heard. And that is not whether you're high achieving business, it doesn't matter, dude, whether that you're 14 and it's your first job, right? That is the exact same belief system that every single human being on this earth has.
It's funny because when I was 19, I used to think like, whoa, making $100,000 a year is just like the pinnacle.
Bro, the Rolls Royce.
Whoa,
I have made it.
Where is life gonna take me?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
dude. But then you do it.
So how do you install this type of love the journey and constantly tweak the journey to improve, like with time type of thing? Have I said that right?
Yeah, 100%. One word: action. You don't do it, right? You don't do the thing then. You do it continuously, right? It's the same thing like when we help our guys like first lose that kilo, right? It's that first kilo was the milestone. That was the first 100 grand. I just want to lose the first 5 kilos, call it, right? That's the 100 grand milestone for a recruiter.
Yep.
But then you lose that and you go, oh, well, that was not as fulfilling as what I thought it was, right? And so the whole idea then is to take them from focusing on just that part to just taking that next step. Okay, so let's do 110. Don't think about it too much this time. Just do 110 or 150 or 200. And before you know it, right, over time, right, this positive feedback loop that you start to build within yourself. Because the moment you do a thing, you feel good for a second. But if you're continually doing things, doesn't matter if you're winning or not, if you're continually doing things, you start to believe that you can do it. And then over time, consistently over time, right, you start to believe, at least for our men and what's worked for me, is I start to believe in the process that I could get another kilo heavier. I could get another 1% body fat leaner. I could do all these things, but it doesn't really matter because I'm never going to stop this now. I can't. It's become who I am. So you spoke about identity before. You don't become somebody overnight. You slowly transform into them. And that is the whole philosophy with my business, and I think what you guys do when it's better together. It's the person that you need to become to have the life that you want isn't here yet, right? And that version of you that you want to be, that has the things that you want, right? All they did was one thing. They kept going. They didn't do anything different. They didn't do anything magic. They just kept going. And so if you've already decided in your mind, right, if you've already decided that I'm not going to give up, I'm just not, then logically, it makes sense to go, well, if I know I'm not going to give up perpetually, why would I keep making milestones? Because it's just going to be an infinite milestone chase. It's just the carrot, right? The dangling carrot on the fucking fishing rod. You know that meme? I don't know if it's a meme or a little
just
guy.
chase it.
You're just chasing the thing on the treadmill. It's just a carrot doing this thing. You'll never achieve it because the moment you get it, and it just goes again. So if you know that you're never going to quit, and you know that there is more for you in this life.
Okay, so if there are any recruiters out there that are interested to find out what it's like to have a VA support them in their role, whether that be to bill more, reduce tasks that they don't enjoy doing, or be a more effective recruiter in their niche, then we definitely recommend reaching out to the Outsource People or TOP. Reach out to them, inquire on how they can implement a VA in your agency and to support you. And if you mention ex-recruiter or Confessions of a Recruiter, they will give you a 13% discount off your bill per month on this VA that will allow you to scale your business, scale your desk, and to bill more and make more money. So go reach out to the Outsource People, say Confession sent you, get your discount, and see what is possible.
I'll talk vulnerably here. I have a therapist. He's the most awesome dude I've ever met in my life. His name's Nick. And I've been seeing him for a few months. And one of the biggest things that he taught me was that there is, and I'm trying to use his verbiage, there is nothing to fix for me, right? I used to think I was broken because there was just parts of my life that I didn't like. There were parts of myself that I didn't understand. And I said, I want to fix them. You know, that was the first thing I said in my first session. And he said, well, dude, I don't know how to break this to you, but there's nothing to fix because you're not broken, right? The only thing that is holding you back is the mindset of around who you think you need to be. And that made no sense because I'm just like, that's just airy-fairy shit, dude. Just tell me what I need to fucking do so that I can fix myself and just get on with this. And the crazy thing about therapy, and I'm not saying go and get a therapist, right? But it's helped me, and it has continually helped me, is I told Nick, he asked me, he goes, are you ever going to stop trying to improve? And I said, well, no. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, because I don't know what else to do if I'm not trying to improve. And that's not me being, I'm a high achiever. I just don't know what else I would do if I wasn't trying to get better. And he said, well, if you know you're not going to stop trying to improve, then why would you keep cutting yourself down just for participating in the race? Why are you keeping throwing obstacles in front of you that don't need to be there? Things that were never a part of the journey anyway. You just placed them there because you didn't feel as though you were in the right place at the right time.
That's a really good point.
Right? Same with recruiters. If I remember because I've known Tash since when I met her, she was a recruiter, and she just started her business with you guys, right?
Shout out to Raw Earth.
Shout out Raw Earth.
I've got the hat here somewhere, right? Yeah. My beautiful soon-to-be wife. Prime example, and I know she won't be upset me talking about this. Dude, the belief system she had around running her business was what she thought broken. I can't do this. What the fuck? I can't work for myself, right? Because for 15 years of her adult career, she has developed a belief system that you work for somebody else, you try your best, you'll get your 5% pay increase every single year if you're a good worker, and maybe we'll give you the title that you're worried about. Maybe it depends on the bottom line, though. So this belief system around who she was, the moment she started ex-recruiter with you guys, she started placing obstacles in the journey already. Because it was, I need to bill $1 million. I need to prove to my previous employers, my friends, anybody that's ever doubted me, right? I need to prove to them that I can do this. And then she did. And it brought her no joy in any way, shape, or form. Why? Because it wasn't outcome driven. It never was. The process of being a business owner was getting uncomfortable, doing something that made her really scared, but being brave enough to pursue through it. There's this Chris Williamson quote, dude. It's Jocko Willink. You can't fake courage, because being brave enough to face your fear, you can't fake that. That's still courage. It's the exact same thing. And it was the exact same thing when she started with you guys, is that she had no idea, like the same thing we were talking about when you made that decision, right? I'm going to go start a business. You have no idea what that's going to entail. I'm going to go start a new industry. No idea what that's going to entail. But the moment you create an outcome, right, which can get you started, it's enough to motivate you to get started. But the moment you create an outcome, right, it takes the emphasis away from what it is you're doing in the first place, because you will get that outcome eventually if you stay with it, right? You will. But then the moment you do, you lost that 10 kilos for your wedding. Now what?
Always pushing forward.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying, because there's a lot of like crossover in some of the things that I do in my life around outcomes and just being. What I'm kind of picking up here is kind of like a diet, right? Someone goes, I want to go on a diet to lose weight. Whilst they have good intentions, that's actually really destructive, because you're not changing your lifestyle to be eating to look the way that you want to look, for example. So it's a finite window of, I'm going to achieve this and then what? And so more thinking about progression over outcomes. So if I tie this to like recruitment or training, etc., rather than being like, I want to be this weight, this lean, and then all of a sudden you get there and there's nothing else to do. It's like, you know what? I wonder if I can progress 1% a week. I wonder if I can just go up weights 1% a week. I wonder if I can just eat a little bit healthier next week, and then a little bit healthier next week, and then a little bit healthier next week. And then all of a sudden it becomes the journey of improvement.
Correct.
Rather than the outcome chasing, I'm going to change my whole lifestyle immediately tomorrow, which is completely unsustainable. I'm going to go on this crazy keto diet tomorrow from going from KFC yesterday, and then all of a sudden I do it for like 4 days, and then I fall off the bandwagon and then kick myself for it.
And then you failed.
Yep.
That's exactly what we were talking about. It is all interrelated. It's the same. The moment you say, I'm going to go on a diet, you fucked up. Right, you have. But and that's not to shoot people down, right? Because sometimes that is the thing that gets you started. But then you realize, right? You realize if you do it enough that was never going to work. It wasn't. But it's hard. Exactly what you said, because everyone does, myself included. I'm just going to do this thing. I'm going to go do this thing, and I'm going to do every 477 things on day one, and I'm just going to make it work. No, you're not. hate to break it to you, sweetie. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Right? And that's
Yeah.
not you. It's everybody.
Yeah.
It's every single person. Because the diet, I'm going to go on a diet to lose weight, is exactly the same as I'm going to work 100 hours a week until I make $1 million a year. Right? Good for you. But then what? This then what thing is changing my life. I don't know why I'm so gripped to it, because it's like, what are you going to do once that's done? And this is the same thing with our men. When they come to us, I have a goal of losing 10 kilos for this wedding, right? It's just a prime example. A guy said it last week. And then they do that for 12 weeks or something like that. And then what? Right? It's just, the hardest thing is when you stop doing the thing that brought you so much joy, happiness, and fulfillment, because you were so fixated on the outcome that was never what you truly wanted in the first place.
Okay, so let's create a little bit of a roadmap here for a recruiter. They're between 25 to 40. They've got a partner. They're a high performer. They're not in the shape that they want to be in. They feel like there's a few gaps in their life that they can improve on. Maybe, they're getting a little bit older. They're not as fit and good looking as they used to be when they were younger, and they want to improve, but they don't really understand what to improve, how to improve. They don't really know kind of where to start. Because I sense that there's probably a lot of people out there that want to do better. I think we all want to do better generally, but how to start, where to start? Is it like, what do we do? Do we analyze ourselves first and write down what our current state is, and then, and then let's say we're going to gym 1 day a week, and we want to try and increase that to maybe 2 days a week the next month, and then 3 days a week the month after that. What are the practical applications that we can, at a high level, start to think about?
Okay, perfect. So prime example, right? The first part is not so much, it's looking internal, but it's actually looking at your calendar, right? This is the first thing that we get most of our guys to do, right? Is it's like, okay, let's just understand where life is at for you at the moment. Because as I said, 80, 90% of our guys are either business or very, very career driven. So time is the most scarce resource, same as you guys. So if you're going to do something, same as these recruiters who have commission based and that kind of stuff, they're awarded for their hard work, right? It makes so much sense to just go do the recruitment thing. So compartmentalize your calendar and actually see where your gaps are. That's the first part. And then starting with the lowest hanging fruit, right? Because the thing that makes sense, like when a recruiter bills $1 million, why do they bill it? Like what's the key component for them billing $1 million? Like if there was one trait, what would it be? It's not sales skill. Right, it's not knowledge.
I think just being proactive.
Correct. Another word, consistent.
Yeah.
Right?
Compounding.
Overly consistent.
Yeah.
They just fucking turn up every day.
Yep.
Right? So the first thing that we start with is, if we look at your calendar as a recruiter, right? If you came to me, Blake, and said, how do I do this, right? We look at where your gaps are. Okay, you have a 30-minute window before you start work every single day where there doesn't seem to be anything. You're going to walk every single day for 25 of those 30 minutes. You can do whatever you want on that walk. You can take calls. You can listen to a podcast. You can listen to the birds. You can drink a coffee. It doesn't matter. But that is it. Nothing else. Just do that for a week. Okay? Because guess what? You do that for 5 straight days, a couple of things happen. Number one, right? You become proud of yourself because you said you were going to do something and you did it.
Yeah.
Right? The congruency appears straight away. As a result of congruency, your belief within yourself goes from, I can't fucking do anything, to, oh shit, I just walked 5 days in a row. I wonder what else I can do. Right? And then the moment that happens, your mind goes, let's go. Right? What can I do next? Right? How can I make this? Right? It's the same thing when you make your first sale. Right, let's just go ham. Let's just go stupid. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right? This is the big, we get that. We get that feeling of, holy shit, this worked. There's some credit. There's some merit to this stuff. One thing at a time. Start with a walk. Start with a walk every single day. Don't skip it. do not skip the damn thing. Before you move into dieting and macros and trying to go to train at a gym you've never been at before and get really uncomfortable and sweaty, which you don't normally do, start with the lowest hanging fruit in your life.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I met you, the impact walking has on you.
Oh, pop quiz. Why? Why is walking so effective?
Yeah, why? Oh, you stepped in it now, Deck.
I know you did, dude. Let's go. You know this. Starts
It's the
with
energy system within your body.
Right.
Burns the most calories.
Very, 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 pretty much,
Close.
right? Very, very close. It's the one you have the most control over. So the amount of calories you burn in a day is the total daily energy expenditure. Most people have heard of TDEE. About 70% of that is outside of your control. That's your basal metabolic rate. That's just you being alive. But that other 30% is directly influenced by your choices every day. And what Declan's referring to is what's called your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's just a buzzword for anything that is movement but not exercise. So that's why walking is so effective. That burns 15% of your daily calorie expenditure per day. Guess how much an actual workout does?
How much?
5.
Right? Now, it's relative. Intensity, training maturity, experience, those kind of things, it's relative.
Yep.
But 5%. So when you're considering starting as a recruiter,
So
what to do?
just hang on a second. So if I go for a 30-minute walk, that's the same as doing a 30-minute gym session?
No.
Okay.
Right? The way I want you to think about it, right, is it's like it's the best bang for your buck, right? Given the context. Would you go for a walk over a workout? Not necessarily. You are going to burn more calories in a 30-minute workout window than you would in a 30-minute walk.
You're talking about energy to like input to output
Correct,
ratio.
right? So, right, correct, right? But you think about it from a logical standpoint. Training 5 workouts per week, right? Every single day for someone who hasn't done it before, the chances of them achieving that compared to achieving 5 walks per week is much, much less. But from an actual calorie expenditure standpoint, you can't train for 9 hours a day. You can walk for 9 hours a day though, right? So these neat things, it's just fidgeting, it's standing. Why the fuck do you think stand-up desks became a thing? You're burning more calories just by moving more, right? So yes, you can do your 30-minute workout per day, but if that's not the thing that lights your soul on fire yet as a recruiter, walk consistently every single day. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 25 minutes. Look at your calendar and put the damn thing in there. You can't screw that up because then you're going to get the confidence to continue. And then after that, you can start to consider the other steps, right? And depending on how much time we can get into those things. But that is 100% where we start. In the very first week, every bloke goes, they sign up with us, they pay their first week, and they're like,
You tell them go for a walk.
No, genuinely, didn't I? We fucking did. We
Yeah.
absolutely did.
All right, mate. Thanks for the money. All right, just go for a walk, eh?
Declan
10,000 steps.
Right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I remember.
Remember at the walk,
Declan was
when we were
always trying
traveling?
to walk.
Yeah. Right?
That's
Because
so funny.
because exactly like we spoke about. Bro, give me the training program. Give me the meal plan. Show me how to track my calories. Show me how to do all that. What, dude. You've still got to go to work today. You've still got to look after the kids when you get home. You've still got to do da in your life. Just relax for one moment. Just trust the process one time because you've done that. You did a 12-week challenge. You got your program, your meal plan, and everything laid out for you, and there was a reason you couldn't stick to it. And I have this level of conviction within what we do. I go, dude, just chill. I had to say this to Declan a couple of times because you're a high-functioning dude, very driven, doing the things that you're doing. It was easy for you to go, right, just give me the next thing, give me the next thing, give me the next thing. But to make it an interview, you're smiling.
I actually remember the conversation I had with Deck. He's like, yeah, mate, signed up with Brody, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck yeah, what are you getting up to? He's like, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm like, whoa. What else? He's like, I don't fucking know, mate. I'm just going for a walk this week. I was like, wow, you're really getting your bang for buck there.
Right? And it is. That's the hardest hurdle,
It was
right?
so confused.
No, it is. It's the hardest hurdle. But it's what's worked for us for dead set nearly 600 guys now.
Yeah.
600 guys in the last couple of years. It's not magic, it's a system. Because the theory behind what the fuck we do is doing this for the rest of your life. Right? Taking away the 12-week programs, taking away the 6-week challenges, the 6-pack abs to 6 weeks. It's taking all that away and helping you build a lifestyle as a man. That is genuinely what we do.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to find ways to make this new thing that you want to do a genuine part of your life. Because if you're a recruiter working 80 hours a week, where the fuck are you going to find another 7 for working out? You're just not, right? You're not. And if you think you are, that's where you start to set yourself up for failure, stop believing in yourself, and then throw out health, wellness, and looking after yourself in the bin because, fuck, I couldn't do it the first time, so I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, I think the biggest part is you don't know so much. Like everyone's looking for a silver bullet. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'll sign up on Monday, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, or this next subscription or software platform is going to make me get out of cold calling. And then the same with the fitness industry. Like all the carnivore diets, the fat diets, the fasting, you're like, what do I even follow?
Yeah.
And everything works.
Everything contradicts each other too. It's so confusing.
It's the most contradicting industry on the planet.
And then you just do nothing.
Correct. Because it's stimulation overload. It's like, I don't know I did keto last month and I lost 8 kilos but gained it back. I did carnivore the previous month, I lost 9 kilos, gained that back. Then I started doing a bodybuilding diet, but I couldn't help binge eating, so I gave that up. And it was just, it's very, very difficult. So the approach that we take is exactly that. Let's look at your life. Let's genuinely understand who you are as a person. Because if you're going to do anything this time, and you're really going to try your best to make this work, it actually makes sense to follow something that actually fits in with your life properly, right? Because if you're going to do a 12-week challenge that you have to go to every single workout for, like a prime example, 75 hard?
Yep. Yeah.
Everybody does.
So hard.
Right? I get the intention, and I love Andy Frisella. I think he's one of the hardest motherfuckers ever, and his whole brand is hard motherfucker. Dude, it is been the gnarliest thing that has disrupted the world of fitness that I've ever seen.
Have you ever done it?
No. And I never will, right? Because most people are doing it for one reason only. They hate themselves, right? Genuinely. They go, I need to challenge myself so hard to prove that I'm not the worthless piece of shit that I think I am. And that sounds pretty gnarly, dude, but it's genuinely true.
True.
Right? If you're going to commit to 75 days, training twice a day, right? Taking a photo of yourself and publicly putting it online, no cheat meals, no sugar, no, like zero, anything. You're taking away all the things that make you you. Do you like sugar, Blake?
I love sugar.
Right? And you're going to go for 75 days, no sugar. Guess what happens on day 76?
Blakey's going back to the sugar.
Bro, Blakey is rolling in a cast of sugar tin, right?
Yeah.
So the whole idea behind the 75 hard is teach motivation, teach discipline, teach that. Yes, you can do it for 75 days. You can do a business for 12 months. But can you do a business for 40 years? Can you maintain 80 hours a week for the next 30 years of your career?
No.
Can you maintain 75 hard for 75 years? No. So why do it in the first place? This is, and again, I might cost some flack for it, dude. This is just my belief. Because if I'm going to do something this important,
it's got to be sustainable.
It's got to be fucking sustainable, right? Now, that doesn't mean you don't go through periods of sprinting where you like right now, I'm dieting pretty hard. I've got Bali coming up in a month. And the reason I'm doing it is I want to look really, really good for Bali, and it's great for my personal brand and all this kind of stuff. So I'm not having any cheat meals at the moment. And I'm okay with that, right? But I also know that because of the skill set that I have and the length of time I've been doing this, I know how to reintegrate real life after this sprint. So sprinting hard toward your goals is not a bad thing, but you need to understand that the sprint will end and you need to have a contingency after that sprint finishes. Because if you tell your wife, right, and I know you've had this conversation, Declan, right? When you talk to Dee and you go, I need to do 90-hour weeks this week, this month, this quarter, because we have to do this stuff, right? As long as you make sure that that sprint has a finite end, right? Even though this is not outcome driven. This is setting parameters for you to get back to normality, right? As long as you have those parameters in place, the sprint becomes something that motivates you. You enjoy it. But if the sprint end is perpetual, what ends up happening?
The wheels start falling off.
You burn out.
Yeah.
You end up hating. You go home to D and you are pissed. You are emotional. You're not showing up as the dad you need to be. You're not showing up for Blake or the team. You're not doing anything because you were not disciplined enough to set parameters in your own life. Again, what a coach does. So it sounds like I'm kind of alley-ooping myself for what we do. But dude, this is genuinely what men pay us to do. Is we have the foresight that most business owners, fathers, career-driven people don't have, because you're so in the fucking midst of it. You are so in the heat of everything that you're doing. You're growing ex-recruiter, boys, right? You're not going to slow down ever. Do you ever plan on not growing this? Do you ever plan on not growing the team of partners? Do you ever plan on not taking this to the goddamn moon? Absolutely not. No. Right? So what are you going to do when you want other stuff along the way? When you do want to get in shape for your wife, when you do want to have more energy, when you do want to set a better example for your kids. That's what genuinely men ask us to help them with, because they don't want to slow down on ex-recruiter. They don't want to slow down on spending time with their kids, but they know they need to do this thing. And that's where we come in, because we look at your life and help you figure out what it is that's actually going to make sense. And then we hold your fucking feet to the fire to make sure that it works.
You know what? That's a really good segue to one thing that I wanted to ask here. And you said
it's not TRT, is it?
No. It's looping from making sure that whatever we implement is sustainable. So it's not a fad, it's not a sprint, it's not a oh yeah, you deal with this for 12 weeks and then you're off and good luck. So a sustainable program that they can implement for the rest of their lives, and then holding their feet to the fire and making sure they do it. So, Dak, do you want to just share with us some of the accountability calls that you've had with Brody before?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think we didn't record any on purpose. I made sure that recording button was off when last week, didn't we?
No, they're always recorded. Right?
Oh, did I?
I remember, just to set the context. I remember, like, at my desk, I'm just like cracking away, and then Dak comes in like a little bit flustered, and he's like, "Whoa, Jesus!" I'm like, "What's up?" He goes, "Brody just fucking ripped me," and I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Mate, I just got fucking burned real hard from Brody because I didn't do what I said I was going to do." And I was like, "Oh," he goes, "I reckon we should speak to our partners like that." That was awesome. Oh, it was the funniest thing. So I think, what does it look like to hold someone accountable? Do people get scared? Do they withdraw? Do they lean into it and go, "Yep, I love the accountability"? What's the feedback mechanism when holding people accountable?
So I'll prime this part quickly with a question, right? Who are you accountable to in your life when it comes to your health?
Yourself.
Right. How fucking easy is it to let yourself down every single day?
Easy as.
How easy is it to hit the snooze button? How easy is it you've had a hard day, dude, and just a soft service just calling your name? How easy is it for your wife to also go, "Darling, you've been working so hard, just take the weekend off. Let's get pizza with the kids." How easy is that? It is near impossible to let someone else down when their sole purpose in your life is to make sure that you achieve the goals that you want, right? Because the way that we explain it to our men, dude, is you have enough people, you two included, same when I was talking to Dec, you have enough people telling you how much they love you. You do have enough people telling you how proud they are of you, that you're cared for, that, all those beautiful things. But you don't have anybody calling you on your bullshit. You don't have anybody, right, as I said, holding your feet to the fire, making sure that you follow through on the promises that you've been making to yourself but haven't been completing. And so how we do that accountability is completely relative and case by case. So for me, for Declan, right, with your personality style and that kind of stuff, like even though, we had stern words, it was never an absolute throttling because you're never going to respond to that. But it's also...
Can you define an absolute throttling?
Because if that wasn't an absolute throttling, I'm not sure Dec knows what is.
I'm Italian, dude. I'm a fiery motherfucker. But it's the idea is that we're always firm, but we're fair, right? Because I'm also a human being. This is the difference, right? When most people buy shit from an influencer online in the fitness space, it's, if I do this, I'll be like them. No, you won't, right? If you follow exactly what I do every day, does not mean that you will look or feel like me in any way, shape, or form. That's not the case, right? You might, but you might not. And the difference is everybody receives feedback and improvement and understands concepts differently. And so the way that we coach, rather than screaming, like we never scream, but it is also, dude, how, like, and I remember saying these words to Declan. I'm like, dude, how fucking important is this to you really? And then it's bringing in your why. So remember the first part of the conversation, it's understanding your why. Dude, does the version of you that takes ex-recruiter to the moon, is he doing this? Do you see this version of Declan? Is this the person leading your company? Right? And so this is the accountability where we're goal focused, not bashing you for the person you are. I drop the ball all the time, right? But then my coaches, and I got 3 of them because it's the only thing that makes me do anything, right, is reminding me of that every day. And that's what we need as men. And women, like I've coached women in my life, and I know there's certain crossover, but I'm only going to stay in my field. And I know that this is relevant for men, is if someone is as invested in your goals as you are, not invested in your happiness, right, or your contentment or your emotions, right? You have people in your life for that. But that is also the exact reason you're still fat. As brutal as that sounds, that's also the exact reason you're still only making the money you're making now. Because only one person is as invested in your goals as you. You. And it's very easy for you to cut corners.
Yeah.
Take the easy route, right? Make excuses, tell stories, right? Lean into fear. But when someone completely third party to you who is only invested in the outcome that you want, the goal that you've set for yourself, it becomes very difficult to let that person down. So rather than having stern words all the time, sometimes we have to, but more often than not, just knowing that we exist in their life now is enough to, I don't know what the phrase is, steer them straight, keep them accountable. It's the same. Why get a business coach? Why spend $30,000 on a mastermind? Because of the accountability. Dude, you'll like this, right? One of my mentors asked me a couple of years ago, it was, what kind of business, it was still in coaching, exactly what we do was, evolving a little bit, but he goes, what kind of business do you think you're in? And I said, oh, well, I'm a nutrition coach. I'm a PT. Like I'm in the health business. I'm in the, health coaching business. We're nutrition experts. We're, incredible programmers, sports, just rattled off shit. He goes, no, you're not. You're in the accountability business. That's all I do, right? That is what we do as a profession, right? Nutrition and training and the semantics of the detail, everybody can fucking do that. But what people genuinely invest in us for is the accountability to keep them on track, to help them believe in themselves when they don't want to believe anymore, to help them realign themselves with why the fuck they're doing it in the first place when they're ready to quit, to also celebrate with them when that goalpost is just about to move. Whoa, Declan, right? I remember you saying, I've only lost 5 kilos. Only. You just cut yourself. Not, I lost 5 kilos, I only lost 5 kilos. And then as a coach as well, we're going, dude, you lost 5 fucking kilos while running a business, while going home every night and being the best dad you can, while communicating with your wife better. Let's sit in this for a second. And so at the same time as giving you the fucking rev that you need, we're also giving you the appreciation that you need that you've achieved. Not the appreciation that you got a good haircut this week, but the appreciation that you moved another step closer to your goals. And don't just skip over that, because before you know it, and I'm the biggest fucking hypocrite for what I'm about to say, don't skip over that, because before you know it, you will stop smelling the roses because you won't be able to smell anymore.
That's something for Deck. He hits home with the gratitude thing now, hey?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, I was in awe of you this morning. I was in awe of that this morning.
Yeah, the gratitude journal. Do you want me to just explain it?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, please.
I reckon it's the biggest game changer. I was very apprehensive about doing this.
It feels a little fluffy, doesn't it?
Feels lame and kumbaya.
You feel like a little, yeah.
Yeah, you feel less of a man by doing it. But honestly, it's really good. So I learned it from a mindset coach I've been working with for the last 3-4 months, Michael Anderson, and he scaled a couple of tech companies, and now he does coaching for people that are in fast-growing businesses. And he's based in the UK, American guy. And the journaling process is each day it's called GAF. So you write down your gratitude, what you're grateful for. So whether that's people, moments, things, and you get really specific. Instead of being like, I'm grateful for my family, might be like, I'm grateful for Deanna and us spending the night together, or the way Hugo smiles at me as I leave in the morning, or Sage reminded me of never give up, Dad, or I love myself, or anything you've taught her, and get really specific. And then when you're going through business and you're reinvesting a lot, sometimes you can anchor yourself to monetary value, and you remove the fact of who you're affecting. So a big focus is, focusing on who you're actually affecting and the impact you're having on these people every day. So then you write down, you look at your last 24 hours, just open up your diary and write down every story where you've had a positive impact on someone, where they may have said, hey, this is the greatest thing ever, or thanks for that, or you made my day. And you write down all those things. And then the last one's fortune. So then it's like, what am I fortunate for? Like, it might be getting a car park early, or beating everyone into the coffee shop and they make you coffee in 2 seconds and everyone's waiting 20 minutes at Salt for theirs. Whatever those little lucky things. And then I started doing it, and then I started like, I'd walk into the office and I'd be like, oh, I'm so grateful to have Blake as a business partner. Or I'm so grateful for Serge, always being bang up for trips and always available. And all these little things, you start looking for gratitude. And then you're like, oh, wow, look at the amount of people I've affected. You get to the end of the day, you go, oh, shit, I've actually done something. Because usually as a business owner, you get to the end and you go, holy shit, what happened today? I'm really tired. And then, did I do anything today? And then the fortune, you're like, oh, maybe I'm not hard done by. There's a bit of luck going my way.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, perspective shifting stuff, eh? Because you just as a business owner, you get to the end of your day, you get to the end of your week, you get to the end of your month, and you're like, damn, what have I actually got to show for it? Because I don't journal. I've tried. No, that's a cop out. I've attempted. I haven't really tried to stick with it. And I get it, dude. It's the same thing with someone trying to stick with fitness. It's why did you get your mindset coach?
Because you get to the point, simply it was you're the sales guy, and then your business starts growing, you're not the sales guy anymore, and you got to be the leader. And I didn't know those leadership skills. And a level starts with leading yourself first, and a level of accountability for you to do that work. Yeah, of course. Right? Why you wouldn't journal? Yeah, because this dude is making sure that you fucking journal every single day. It's still accountability, dude. Yeah, right. It genuinely is. That's what coaching and mentorship truly is. It's why does Serge always make himself available? Because he's accountable to you, right? You make him accountable to this business. You make him invested in this journey with you guys, invested in the goals. Right, it's just accountability is the secret sauce, and if you're lost in any part, right, whether you're a recruiter, you work at McDonald's, whether you're in a car dealer, it doesn't matter. If you genuinely feel lost in what it is that you're doing and it's just not making sense, you're not sure what skills you need to develop, you're not sure where to go next. Genuinely investing in coaching, in any discipline, anything now. Is what you're paying for, and people are so reluctant. It's like, why would I pay for a PT? Why would I pay for someone to teach me mindset? Well, you're not. You're paying for someone to keep you accountable to learning how to evolve your mindset. Because evolving your mindset is, you can read theory, you can do all that kind of stuff, but someone keeping you accountable to doing it every week. That's what you're paying for. That's what you're investing in. And if you're someone who cares about where you end up, you're caring about your progression and the cadence of your progression, because you can achieve your goals in 10 years or 1 year, right? You decide based on how disciplined you are, right? And how resourceful you become. But a coach, right? You're paying for that. There's a sting. There's a financial commitment. So you're going to show up and do that fucking work because you don't want to waste your money. But you go, I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah, I think a life hack is getting a coach, getting someone that you pay to become better at whatever the thing is that you want to become better at. Having a life coach, mentor coach, a PT, whatever it is that you really want to start to dial in your life, getting external help is the best way to do it. Like, if you're just going to just try and battle through yourself,
I can't understand that anymore.
Yeah,
I used to think
dude,
there was too, because you come from a blue collar family and you're like, work hard, roll up the sleeves, this is how it's meant to be. And then you realize the access you have to people in this day and age, like,
you can become Superman so quickly.
You'd be stupid not, but again, speaking specifically about men, do you know the two hardest things I've ever ever seen men struggle with in my life. Number one is asking for help. And then number two is receiving the help when it's there. We do have a lot of ego, right? We have a lot of pride. And for most men, blue collar, doesn't matter. Men as a gender, if we ask for help, it signals to us, right, a couple of things. Number one, we're vulnerable. We're not protected, right? I don't know the answers. Number two is I'm weak. What do you mean? I can't figure this out on my own. What kind of piece of shit are you? I should know how to do this. I'm a man, right? And then the third thing is when when you don't know what it is that you need to do, right? You'll start doing irrational shit trying to explain to yourself how you can do it. Right? And you'll just keep wasting time. It is what most men do. They go, I'll do it myself, and then another year goes past and they haven't done it. Right? It's the hardest thing is genuinely asking for help. But once you've done it and you see the leap and bound that comes from it, it's the most addictive thing in the world. Right? Ever. I will never, ever, ever spend another day of my life without some form of coaching, external coaching in any area. In any area. Otherwise, because the person that I want to become, right, has coaches in his life, right? Kobe Bryant is one of my friggin' idols, right? All right, but he's the best. Every single one of professional athletes, every entrepreneur, every business owner, every inspiring leader, all has coaches.
Yeah. Now that's been a really interesting chat around performance, mindset, accountability, and you've actually kind of ended here at a perfect segue around asking for help. So if someone wanted help and they wanted your help, how do they go about it?
Oh, dude, easy. My brand is built around Instagram. So that's where most of my market is, right? So if anyone wants to get in touch, we've just changed. No, my personal page is Coach Brody Casa. The business is Apex Coaching Academy. So if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out, Instagram is probably the easiest way. So
how do you spell Coach Cody?
Oh, go again.
Coach Brody Casa.
So Coach, C-O-S. Coach, as you'd spell it, Brody is B-R-O-D-I-E, and Casa is C-A-S-A.
Awesome.
Perfect, mate. It's a game changer.
Well, mate, thanks for coming on, showing us your calves today. If anyone hasn't seen them, they're pretty big, and dropping some knowledge bombs. We really appreciate it, and hopefully the recruiters out there that are in this stage of life where they are high performers, and there is some sort of gaps in their life where they want to level up as an individual, not just for fitness, but level up as a human. Then obviously talking to Brody is the way to go.
Any coach. Right? There is not a single thing that you can't learn from someone else, but be very cutthroat about who you choose as your coach. If you're going to do the thing, make sure that the person that you engage has done the thing. Right? Because there's a lot of life, and I'll end it here, there's a lot of life coaches that have not fucking lived a single second in their life.
Yep.
Right? So just be on the side of caution when you're choosing your mentor. Right? You're choosing your Sherpa. Make sure that they've followed, when you're going up Mount Everest, you want to make sure that motherfucker has been up Mount Everest 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Right? So, thank you very much.
Thanks brother. Thanks for coming on.
Big love.
It.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another Confessions of a Recruiter podcast with Blake and Declan. We hope you enjoyed and got a lot of value and insights out of this episode. If you do have any questions or you would like to recommend someone to come on the Confessions podcast, we would love any introductions. And remember the rule of the podcast: like, share, and recommend it to a friend. Until next time.